Terence Miller.
Yes, pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, and thank you for sitting here with us today. As you know, you are on Yonkers Voice. Yonkers Voice is the largest and the best. Hey, I gotta give a shout out.
Right, you do.
Yeah, I have to do it. Okay, social platform. And in today's world, people get their news from social platforms. Tell us, who is Terence Miller?
Well, hello everyone. My name is Terence Miller. I'm a lifelong Yonkers resident. I graduated from Yonkers Public Schools, so I definitely have a great understanding of what our schools were before and what they're not, what our students are not receiving right now. I just want our students to be well educated and receive the proper services so that when they do graduate and they go off to college, you know, they're well-rounded students and they can come back to our community and build and contribute to the fabric of our neighborhood. I'm a third-generation Yonkers resident, but unfortunately, like many people in my neighborhood, it's become a struggle to keep my family here in the city. I'm also a member of Community Voices Heard here in Yonkers, and we've been doing a lot of work around low income and affordable housing. Currently, there is a 10% housing ordinance, so that any new buildings being built, 10% of those units have to go to low income and affordable housing. But at Community Voices Heard, we've been working hard and pushing the city council and the mayor to raise that ordinance to 30%.
I gotta stop you. I have to stop you because I don't want you to answer all my questions before I even started. I gotta ask those questions, and we're gonna get there.
All right, excellent.
I promise.
All right.
Terence, you talk about education.
Yes.
It doesn't seem that you left school too long ago.
No.
You were a young man.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to see young men such as yourself, bright young men, stepping forward and working for the community. What is the biggest problem that you see with education in our city? We talk about Yonkers.
Right. So one of the biggest things is how our schools are funded. You know, in Albany right now, there's a current formula where that they use to fund Yonkers Public Schools. So I think that's one of the biggest issues right now is fixing that formula. But here in the city of Yonkers, city government does have a responsibility to fund our schools properly. You know, we can't just you know, wait on Albany. We have to find a way at the city level to fund our schools so that they're working better for our students.
Now, my first question should be this one. How did you manage to get the endorsement from your body?
So the way that it worked is that the district leaders from the 1st Ward and the 3rd Ward, they had a meeting and they invited the candidates who wanted to run for Yonkers City Council in the 1st District. We had a meeting, all the candidates had an opportunity to present themselves and state their claim, and then the district leaders and the ward leaders, they voted, and they chose me.
It is what it is,
Yeah.
and you are the chosen one.
Yeah.
But now, this interview is about you. But I have to bring your, well, I don't want to bring your challenger up, but those guys that are watching our interview need to know what's the difference. Because what's going to tell me vote A or vote B is the difference between the candidates. What is the main difference?
I think one of the main differences is that I am a lifelong Yonkers resident. You know, I grew up in this city. I have a family here. I'm a lifelong Yonkers resident through and through. And also, you know, I have experience working in government. I've interned with Andrea Stewart-Cousins. I have worked for a state senator, so I understand what it takes to be an elected official. And also, I've really been doing the work here. Like I said, with Community Voices Heard, I've been meeting with residents, really understanding what the issues are in our city. And all those things combined make me the best option for Yonkers City Council.
Well, that gets something out of the way. You're not a newbie.
Right.
You're young, but you are not a newbie. You know how the process works. You know what's involved in working for the people, and you understand the people's problem. I guess what I'm saying is just being a long resident of Yonkers is not enough.
Right.
You must understand the problem.
Yes.
From the people of Yonkers. In your district, what do you think is the biggest problem in the city of Yonkers?
So in my district and here in the 1st Council District, it's low income and affordable housing. As you can see, we have new developments here in the background, but a lot of residents who have been here for a very long time are not able to afford them. There's a lot of luxury apartments going up, But the residents who have been here and who have made this district what it is cannot afford to stay here because the rents have gone up expeditiously, and they feel like they're being pushed out of the district. So fighting for low income and affordable housing is what a lot of our residents want to see.
You see, if I do live in your district, and it's important for me to see a whole bunch of buildings, as you just mentioned, being built right here in my district.
Right.
But I have a problem.
Okay.
When I cannot get a job in one of those buildings. Okay, why can I, if those constructors are getting huge tax breaks to build here, and they promise to give us work, why I cannot get a job there?
Well, when you're at the city council and you're working in city government, it's important that you are fighting for jobs here for the residents of Yonkers. And you know, these developers, they do receive a lot of tax breaks, but there aren't enough like community benefits agreements. So my responsibility when I get to the city council is that I will be fighting for, you know, local hiring residents from the city, but making sure, you know, that they're qualified for the job as well. So that's.
Oh, of course, you know, I'm not saying that I should be an electrician if I cannot even put a light bulb on.
Right.
You know, I have to be. But you see, but to me and to a lot of people in Yonkers, it's not just about those agreements, because those agreements are in place. The enforcement of those agreements, once that buildings start going up and they start hiring people, I have been at those buildings. I see people from out of state. I see license plates from out of state. I see those people in hotels around our area. Not too many people from Yonkers. What are the consequences?
Well, we have to hold these developers accountable, right? There has to be some way, shape, or form where the city government is telling the developers that if you're going to build here in Yonkers, the workers that you need to use need to be from Yonkers, and they need to be, you know, union skilled labor workers as well.
And another big problem in your district, because you're going to have a tough district. You realize that, right?
Yeah.
A lot of homeless. That is a problem.
Yes.
Not just people of Yonkers that because of these high price constructions we cannot afford to live there, but people that come from other cities that are dumped in Yonkers. How would you deal with that?
So what we really need to do is work with our county government in order to fix that solution, right? Although it's not the city's responsibility to fix it, we should and could be doing everything in our power to really make a difference in finding shelter for our homeless population. And the way we do that is having real conversations and real meetings with our county government and our county representatives here in Yonkers.
And what about taxes? Let's say, I don't know, the budget is coming up, now April, correct? You won't be elected then.
Right.
What if you were? How would your vote would be? Increase, not increase? How would you handle this?
So when you're talking about taxes, our taxes are supposed to be, our city taxes are supposed to be used for public services throughout the city. So if I'm on the council and I'm voting, I'm going to vote to make sure that the taxes that we are using, that we are taking from our residents, are actually going to be used for public service.
I saw you yesterday at the rally. Actually, I tried to catch your attention, but you are already walking away with your manager, campaign manager. I don't know if you remember, Mayor Spano said that they went to Albany. Albany understands that they need to do a change on the tax formula. They understand that. Well, if they do understand that, why that hasn't been done? Because the same song that we are hearing today, I heard it last year, I heard it the year before, and before, and before, I think for the last 20 years or more. What makes them think, or what makes you think, that this time around it's going to be any different?
Well, right now we have Andre Stewart-Cousins, who is currently the majority leader who represents Yonkers, and we also have Shelley Mayer, who represents Yonkers as well, and she's the chairman of the Education Committee. So I do think we have a great opportunity to work with our state representatives to really fix that formula and get some more funding for our Yonkers public schools.
In other words, if we don't get it now, we won't get it then. Because now everything is lined up. We have all the important players to make this happen, for this change to happen. They are Yonkers residents. They understand the issue in Yonkers, so shouldn't be no problem, correct?
It shouldn't be, but you know, we do need to have a conversation. Like both the city government and our state representative, we we need to work together to figure out the issue.
Now, Terence, tell us about talk to us about the crime in Yonkers. Because I don't know if you have noticed that the majority of the crime in Yonkers also happens in your district. I film, I go around, I document things that happen, and I would say that 90% of the crime in Yonkers happens around here. What's the connection?
I think that goes back to public services, right? We are taxing our residents here in the city, but we're not receiving enough public services so that our students and people in the community have places to go where they can enjoy themselves. So that could be one of the issues as well.
You think that would reduce crime?
That does. I do think that plays a part in it. Because if you're being idle, idle mind is the devil's playground. So if you have things to do, if you have places to go, and I think that will help decrease the crime rate.
Now, I don't know how this connects to your job if you are elected, but I'm going to throw it to you, because when it comes down to vote, people don't vote just on issues. They also vote on the person. How do I like the person? How does the person articulate issues? So sometimes it's a personal connection.
Right.
How do you see social justice or injustice in Yonkers?
So, in the city of Yonkers, I do feel like some residents may feel that there are a lot of there's some social injustices going on, but I feel like at the city level, and in my capacity as a city council member, it's my job to be an advocate for individuals. So if an individual does feel like they have felt some social injustice, it's my job to really get an understanding of what the issue is, and then reach out to the proper agency to see where I can help out my constituent.
Let's talk about housing. Housing in the sense of displacement, fires in Yonkers, violations in your district. It's also the district that has more violations, more people displaced, losing their homes. What would you do any different than whatever is there now?
Well, I know currently Council Member Cortisone Pineda Isaac and the mayor, I believe, they've introduced legislation to fine landlords who do have a lot of violations. So once I do get to the city council, I would work with Council Member Pineda Isaac and see how I can be an advocate for the legislation that she introduced and passed.
And I think, I don't know, did I cover everything, or do you think there is anything else that you would like to touch on? Because this is it. This is one of the opportunities that you're going to have to talk to large numbers of people. Right. Is there anything that perhaps you want to bring up?
I would just like to finish from where I started before, when I was talking about how I'm a member of Community Voices Heard, and doing a lot of constituent work here in the community. And also, like I stated earlier, there's the homelessness population in our downtown area, but the city government can and should be doing everything in their power to work with the county government to curtail those issues. I just want Yonkers to be a place that all residents can be proud of. And I'm Yonkers born, and I'm Yonkers raised, and I'm Yonkers proud.
How do you see Yonkers 15 years from today?
I see Yonkers as a beautiful city where we have residents here thriving, businesses thriving, people being able to stay in their communities, and just and just make sure that Yonkers is a great city.
In regards to voting, how do you see yourself well, let me change that, how I'm going to phrase this. How do you want people to see you when it comes down to voting? You're going to vote across party lines, or you're going to stick with your party line?
I'm going to vote based on how my constituents want me to vote. Because as a city council member in the 1st District, it is my job to work on behalf of the residents of the 1st District. So that's how I'm going to vote.
Let's say if this was like 4 or 5 months ago when they extended the term limits, how do you see that? When I talk about extending the term limits, I don't want people to get confused with extending and eliminating. No one eliminated term limits. We extended from 2 to 3. How do you see that?
Well, I was actually at that meeting, and I spoke out against extending the term limits, more so because of the process. Back in the 90s, when this was up, there was a public referendum, and it was put to the ballot, so where residents were able to actually vote on it and say whether or not they wanted to extend the term limits. What just happened a couple of months ago, City Council took it upon themselves to do it. But if it was me, I would have said to put it as a ballot referendum.
In closing, you want to make a close-up statement to the people of Yonkers?
Yeah, I kind of did that earlier, but I'll make another
Redo
closing.
it. Do another closing.
Yeah.
Let's consider the first one the opening.
That was the
Now
opening.
you're doing the closing.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Terence Miller, running for Yonkers City Council here in the 1st District. I've been fighting for low-income and affordable housing with community voices heard. I've been in the community, really doing the work, and I would appreciate your vote on June 25th. Thank you.
Just before we stop, can I guarantee to the people of Yonkers that those jobs that we see around here, that the people from Yonkers will have the first pick as long as they qualified for those jobs, of course.
That is what I would be fighting for on the City Council.
Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for on Yonkers Voice. We bring you everything that is important to us, to our city, and our interest in interviewing the candidates. It's so you know who is who and where they stand on. Stay tuned.